Chapter 3 Preparations of a Lost Fragment. Arkistan stood, looking at the realm from an aerial view. Some parts of the land were obfuscated, with a shroud, no doubt. No telling what was behind that, but there were plenty of diverse biomes in his area of influence. That was good. That's a great introduction for them when it comes to materials. Water percentage was good since it was pretty much an island. There is a possibility of mythic beasts. He could feel the observational checks from the local powers trying to investigate him. They were probably just on vacation since there was pretty much no chance of anyone powerful enough to be hunting them here. Fragmented worlds were not the place to fight higher tier battles due to not knowing all the respective players. This place, though, was not bad. It's not like he had a lot of downtime with the sun beforehand due to his circumstances, he thought with a grimace. Wondering when was the last time him and his son had a vacation. Shaking those carefree thoughts from his mind, he knew now was not the time to be the caring dad. He had principles to instill, techniques to administer, and plans to ensure the survivability of all who will receive it.
"We picked the origin site and we're ready for construction,"
said the courier. It was in the southern part of the island, fenced in by trees. The center portion was just grass and dirt, with a lake of some sort, off-centered in the northeastern province.
"All right, I need a manor over there by the lake and 2 dormitories, probably like 200 rooms apiece. Have the crafting stations and the army following the dorms behind them. An army behind the male's dorm and the crafting station opposite. Cafeteria south of the manor somewhere around there."
He pointed towards the spot.
"Let's get the arena south of the lake with a connected slaughterhouse that also connects to the cafeteria. Did I forget to mention the walk paths for the dorms and their respective connections to their facilities? Also do an extra path for the armory to the crafting station."
The courier just nodded and got to work. Arkistan knew, due to the contract, what he might need to give them to facilitate growth. The arena had a chapel and a library gifted within. He knew some might be vegetarians, but that was a specialty that they would have to fund themselves. Gardens required more maintenance and resources than just chopping meat. Arkistan floated down towards the lake, noticing it looked like a battle took place in some areas that the couriers were building upon. He decided to leave that thought for later. Landing in the lake towards the northeastern part of it, while still within the boundary, looked like a good spot to plant a safety measure. He looked up towards the sky, knowing his level-headedness was getting ready to run out. He would probably have maybe a day of it left by the time they arrived. He could always reactivate it, but sometimes it was best just to be yourself. Too much of any way of thinking could be a bad thing. Sometimes being angry was a profitable mind frame. He sighed, knowing his personality was not always suited to be a teacher. A king, maybe, but that really was not the role of a Tsar. And he would have to give it his best because a lot of futures were about to be entrusted to him. And only one really mattered. Getting started on the fountain that can make people feel at ease was definitely a priority. Before that, though, he really needed to get the bearings on the type of wildlife that they would have here. He opened his pouch, pulled out a few vials. One was a vial of discretion, another one was of knowing, and an empty vial for the mixing. After swirling the mixture until the color changed, and now he had a vial of insight. He had about a minute before he lost the effect. While that was going on, he replaced the 2 vials for 1 vial of disturbance and added it in. If he had Vix here, this would be a good teaching moment, even though he disliked alchemy. Ta-da! Now he had a potion of insightful disturbance. And he poured it into the water waiting to see what type of colors the bubbles would make. He got out his add-on book and retrieved a pen. He wrote at the top of the page, bounties. He jotted down all the info that he could with such a basic spell, plus there were creatures that did not drink water. And even though the water extended to different regions, there was no telling where it went. It did not take him long to get some materials from the courier to start work on the fountain. With the fountain finished, he just had to wait for the magic to settle to apply the finishing touches. It was time to look at the census of my soon-to-be inbound citizens. Courier spoke. You know that these are divine recruits. You know, I'm glad you're taking your role so seriously. Arkistan looked blankly. What do you mean, divine recruits? Arkistan said with a newfound weariness. Well, each faction has their own tutorial duty, and it's usually random who gets to play the king within the selected party, but this one is for divine. Arkistan still just continued to stare for a few more seconds, and then he spoke. I understand that I'm almost 80, but I'm not under or over any divine leadership. I barely went to church. That was quite upsetting, and no one knew how you pulled it off until a lot of research was done. You know, there is always more to learn. It's astonishing. You know, no one knew when someone succeeded in a divine quest that they are automatically affiliated. It was overlooked because who would do a divine quest that was not associated with the divine? It requires selflessness and caring for all who are on the quest, since it may take lives. Well, that's good to know, said Arkistan with a little nod and a tap on his armchair, which was a good indicator that his level-headed buff took a brief hit. The fun thing is, since you came into the Hall of Service, more people have looked into you and are doing more due diligence in our tasks when it comes to people. We have a reputation to uphold, and you reminded us of that. But if you had actually seen the list, you would have known you were on the divine list for SAR duty. Arkistan just shook his head and said, all that work, making a dwelling, in the end within, making my own furniture, and spending all that money. Yeah, wasn't necessary. But you end up getting the same results, just a tad bit worse. How much worse? Said Arkistan. Courier noticed that fate was getting a tad bit rough around Arkistan. You know what? I already said too much. I just want to let you know that I like how you are taking this so seriously, since it's rather difficult to get into the Divine Network, not to mention you did it by becoming an honorary member. And most don't get in that way. Just keep up the good work. Have a blessed time doing service. Arkistan watched the courier go with a sense of sadness. Divine quests, a divine SAR duty, and the reward was starting to feel more and more not worth it. Normal tutorial duty for any regular factions never required your life. Most left out and went into the same realm to reunite with the family. Divine, though, well, their realms were different. They went to the realms that needed the most help, usually the most war-torn worlds out there. Their missions were insanely difficult, like a search and rescue in hell, and that was an easy one. He would have to read up on his contract, and it was long. He kept taking more puffs, and even though whatever it was that was in his pipe was flowery, it just helped somehow. All right, he spoke and clapped his hand. He needed to stay focused on the task at hand. Getting his spell book back into view because it was leaning close to the floor due to a depressed posture. Census page. He spoke because he did not feel like turning pages. Turning pages was only necessary around other people to limit the information that people could eavesdrop. Page. Future citizens. 1 saint. 1 giant. 18 beast. 40 variant. 20 Florians. 20 avian. 100 humans. 50 dwarves. 50 elves. Brief description. Saint. Chosen by bloodline and spirit. These individuals can understand lost architecture, lost techniques, and revitalize lost languages. Their life was chosen before birth for hope and restoration. They gain attributes faster in wisdom by surveying lost sights, epiphanies in lost knowledge to understand concepts with no way to learn due to it being lost. Strength increases faster because their bodies are made to handle the supernatural. Giant. Rare genetic markers from an ancient bloodline, a rare species that plays a part in most wars. Most kings and queens try to use them to stop wars before they start. They gain attributes faster in strength. They have a natural strength blessing that also blends with body, allowing superior growth. Beast. Animal sentient leaders of the beast world, known more as companions in most realms, lions, tigers, and bears, and it does not stop there. They gain attributes in stealth and strength. Stealth because they were born in nature and they understand how to move due to their ancestors' inherited body mechanics. Sense due to surviving in extreme situations. They gain extra abilities in hearing, smell, taste, touch, and sight. Barbarian, half orc or half dwarf, and half human. Not a rare species, but sometimes can be considered an upgrade. Barbarians are usually known to create great works of destruction among human nations. They gain attributes, offense, which is in the branch of strength, and gain attributes quicker in smithing, similar to rage, but without the mental effects. Barbarians can go beyond their normal attributed strength to the stronger heritage side. Due to a barbarian being half human, the creative side tends to create dangerous weaponry. Variant, half goblin or half elf and half human. Not a rare species, but sometimes can be considered an upgrade. Variants are usually known for civilizing goblin nations, hindering the peaceful notion of elves because half elves are usually assassins. They have increased speed attributes in agility and thievery. Agility boosts due to their half heritage. Thievery boosts due to their social standings. Half breeds are not well received due to the nature of them having advantages. Florian, plant-based creatures that achieved sentience. Rare species that usually makes for excellent druids, mentally susceptible to certain ailments. Since feeling around and using taste-like functions, most researchers call the T-grab, since trees start with the letter T, and they seem to have a over-influence on senses with the letter T. They gain attributes faster in taste and touch. Also, due to how long they take to gain sentience, they are usually susceptible to manipulation like pets. Mental effects on the same tier level will always get through. Avian, animal sentence in the beast world, known as companions in most realms, griffins, vultures, bats, etc. They gain attributes faster in perception, which is a branch of awareness. Flocks tend to share sight as well as mating pairs. Due to multiple views, the increase in shared sense is only natural. Since they are sharing sight, they also gain a perception increase. Humans, often very civilized and numerous throughout the galaxy, known to destroy their worlds. They gain attributes increased in destruction, which is a strength attribute on the magical or item usage side. Creativity is also another attribute gain, which has the parameter in intelligence and awareness. Due to how destructive weapons can be, humans fall prey to not knowing the true effects of their weapons due to insufficient knowledge. Dwarves, the keepers of the mountains, known to create elegant structures, known to keep to themselves, known to tinker with the work, or when a world undergoes climate difficulty, blame it the dwarves. They are strong and are very good at defense. They gain defense attributes faster, which is a parameter in constitution. They also have an aptitude of craftsmanship. They can create elegant structures that are rather pleasing to the eye to highly advanced beings. Elves, the keepers of the forest, known to create elegant structures, known to keep to themselves, known to aid nature's calamities. They are naturally known to be faster and have better perception. Not a bad group, he thought. A lot of noble blood and perhaps even royal blood. Lots of normies as well, but he felt a little bad for his son. He knew to be swept up in this was a danger and a half. Thinking back on what his dad would say, that this is probably too dangerous for only one reward. Arkistan finally finished putting the touches on the fountain. It was housed in front of the manor and centered with the rest of his little town, giving it a courtyard vibe. The new arrivals should arrive with the fountain in their midst. If everything went as planned, so now all he had to do was wait for the show to get on the road. Chapter 3 is done. Another is on the way.